What is going on, everybody? Welcome to our 20K plus 20K subscriber celebration. How's it going, Seb?
I'm doing really well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, we're doing good. We're excited. It was so funny. We were chatting last week on kind of like how we want to do this, and Seb actually approached me and was like, "Hey, why don't we do like a dual kind of like stream dealio?" And we've been chatting all weekend about it, trying to nail it down. And so it's exciting that it's finally here. We're excited to have you guys. Yeah, we both breached 20K last week, right? Or was yours just over the weekend?
I believe mine was Friday.
Okay, phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it was funny. We jumped on this morning and went, man, we are neck and neck when it comes down to those numbers, and all friendly competition, to say the least. Yeah, so we're gonna dive into it. We're gonna spend about an hour, guys. So about 59 minutes as of right now, just kind of hanging out. That's right. There you go. Ding! It should make a ding noise every time, right?
Yeah.
And we'll hang out. We're kind of going to chat about our journey as miners, as content creators, for a tiny bit, and then we'll jump into AMA questions. So hold your questions till about halfway through, so about 9:30 a.m. Eastern, if you're on the East Coast. That's 6:30 a.m. West Coast time, and God knows what time it is across the pond over there. So, Seb, you
Who
ready?
even knows, right?
I know. You ready to get into it?
Absolutely.
All right, awesome. So, give our audience a little rundown. When and how did you really get into mining? I mean, I think that's always the big question for new miners.
Yeah. When's easy? That was, I believe, end of March this year. I purchased my first GPU. It was a used 1070. And after that, I was hooked, basically. And yeah, I pretty much immediately figured I'm just gonna start documenting this for YouTube, because I've been wanting to like have a YouTube channel, or actually I've kind of had like 5 YouTube channels at mediocre success. um, but more just for like, I've always been creating stuff, music, videos. As you know, I worked in like visual effects for films for the longest time.
Yeah.
And so I think it just came naturally to me that, yeah, I'll just put some videos up. And then, as we've discussed earlier, mining can be an addiction of sorts. And the more into it I got, the more sort of serious I also became about documenting it for YouTube. And my channel slowly became less and less about documenting my own journey and more about just like doing research into things. And I mean, you love bringing up my spreadsheet videos.
Oh, they're phenomenal. But hey, there has to be one mad scientist in the group that breaks those down. So I'm glad it's you.
But yeah, I mean, I believe that is the short sort of summary for me. How about you?
Yeah, man, it's interesting. So I was big into like content creation, streaming, and all of that on like Twitch and everything for like the last 9 years, I'd say, and very mediocre success. I mean, I'd say in the last 2 years was definitely more successful than others, from that perspective, but nothing that really popped. You always felt that you were putting more work into it than the community was giving back, in that regard. And so I kind of, a friend of mine was moving, and he had a bunch of computer parts, which were actually, it was a mining rig. It was actually a frame. It was a Veta frame. It was the B250 mining motherboard, and then some very cheap, low quality Amazon risers. And he had given them to me like a year ago, and they've been sitting in my basement. And jump back to like December-ish. I was like, man, I want to pivot out of this kind of gaming content and really get into mining. And it's like, man, I could do content. That would be really cool. Just like you said, document my journey. And so I actually spent about 2 to 3 months prior to my first video in February just seeing what else was out there, like what other content creators were out there, what people were putting out. And what I found was that I liked the documentary style that Red Panda was doing. So you'll see like my style is very similar to his. And I like that style because, and and because it was very much like okay, it's funny, my original mindset was like, here, I'm just gonna capture and go. Like, here, I can just walk around, I can capture everything, talk about it, and then no editing, it will be good. Well, that's a lie, because I'm just that type of guy. So editing definitely continued, but I did a lot of research ahead of time. What worked, what didn't work, and I found a niche that I found no one else was really doing a lot of, and that was crypto mining at a lower price point. At that point, February-ish, your 3000 series was very popular. But and yeah, people talked about their 1000 series Nvidias and their 2000s, but those were like all their old cars. Like, they wanted to sell those off, and I was like, but that's not your everyday viewer. Not your everyday viewer doesn't have a boatload of 3000 series cards that they're mining with. And so I was like, I want to focus on like the 4 gig cards that nobody seems to want, at least from the content perspective. And that's just kind of where I went from there. I mean, February 5th was my first video. I think it still has like 300 views, like nobody's gone back and watched all of those, but it was literally me with a iPhone 6 SE filming, using the microphone there, filming me talking about this Veta frame with the B250 mining motherboard and the risers, and talking about my plans for this rig. And that was it. That was like the entire, like, that was my first entire video, and I just continued documenting from there. So it was a lot of fun.
Perfect. All right.
So I think what would be fun. Oh, it's okay. You're good. Definitely good. So I think what would be a lot of fun, Seb and I had talked about too, is kind of chatting a little bit about what the last few days of us what we've been up to the last few days. Is it content creation? Is it nothing? Is it, what kind of little project we've been working on? And then we'll get into questions here shortly after. Feel free to flood us. Not yet. Soon. We'll let you guys know. Feel free to flood us with questions in the chat, and we'd love to answer them as we move forward.
Yes. And we've got a couple of questions that people have sent in through Twitter and YouTube community tabs as well. So we just need to not forget those.
Absolutely. Yeah, we did ask for questions on social and stuff like that ahead of time. So we definitely want to hit those off. So, Seb, for you, the last week or so, what's been on your docket? What projects have you gotten into? Well, what have you been up to?
Friday is probably the most interesting day because I did something that I have never had to do before. I queued up to buy a GPU.
Oh, okay. Was that for Zotac?
It was for Asus actually.
Okay.
So I, compared to what you guys do, outside of Best Buy overnight and stuff like that, it's kind of small potatoes. But I got there for, I believe, 8 a.m. and queued up for about 3 hours before it was finally my turn to buy a card. But to be honest, it was far from well organized. So the shop that did the drop, they announced it the day before on their Facebook page. And so they just said, we'll get this many of these cards tomorrow, and it's first come, first serve, right?
Okay, so this was a local shop for you? Like, how far was it?
Yeah, it's just in Central.
Wow, okay, so very close. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a shop within a shopping center, right? So the shopping center opens at the same time as the shops open. So a bunch of us got there and queued up outside of the shopping center a few hours before they opened up. And we're stood there for, a couple of hours. But then what happened was they had no ticket system or anything like that.
Oh, no.
So as soon as they opened the gates, for all of the gates for the shopping mall, it was just chaos. Everyone just running to the shop. So I could just as well have just shown up at 10 when they opened the shopping mall. And I would have had just as good a chance as getting a GPU. So not very happy with how that worked out. And I didn't actually get what would have been my first pick for a GPU.
Oh.
So they basically got, they had stock on every 30 series GPU, and the prices were insanely low. So
dang, that's
in the end,
frustrating.
Yeah, like in the end, I managed to get a 3060 Ti, although of course it's LHR, because I actually
Yep.
haven't seen any non-LHR cards for a while, like when we're talking brand new.
Yes. Yes. Correct.
And I believe I got it for $450 plus tax.
Okay. And what does that convert to US dollar? Do you know?
For $450.
Okay. I'm sorry. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if you did the conversion there. So 450.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
trying
no,
to
yeah.
think. I got so I had I just did a video actually 2 weeks ago on the 3060 when I got it from the Newegg shuffle. And it dropped.
3060 Ti.
3060 Ti. Yes, I'm sorry. And I think that was like 550 off of Newegg. But of course you had to buy the motherboard with it. So all said and done.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, you actually got it really good. About $100 under Newegg shuffles prices.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was very happy about that. And the way I look at it, it's like, well, that's almost what I would pay for like a 1660 Super.
Yeah.
And it's like, sure, it's LHR, but even LHR, it's getting around the hash rate that a 1660 Super would on Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
Just that it gets a lot more than a 16 Super would
Yes.
on like Raven coin and other coins, right? So that's what I keep telling myself to convince myself that it wasn't a bad purchase getting an LHR card. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did my first queue about a week ago, a little longer actually, and it was the Zotac queue online, and I'd never done that one before. And I think I was playing like StarCraft 2 with a bunch of the Misfits mining guys, and somebody had mentioned, "Oh, the Zotac queue is open." And the one thing that frustrates me there is like there's no like email alert. Like Newegg Shuffle's nice. Every day I get an email or a text that says like, "Hey, the shuffle is going to start soon." That's really convenient. So with Zotac, it's like you literally need to be watching their site. So I jumped on it, never had before, and it's instantly a queue system. And I was like 3,000 and some. So I just threw it off on another monitor. You know, I was on for that night, hanging out, playing video games, whatever. And believe it or not, I actually like got onto the site, like which was a lot of fun. And
Oh wow.
I got onto the site, but I had never been onto the site before. So I'm like looking and I'm like, all right, how do I sort like as to what they have in stock? Because everything I saw was like out of stock. And then they had some 3060 Ti's in there and 3060s. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. And so I was like, let me grab a 3060 Ti. Wasn't my first pick. I was hoping for like 3070 or 3080 at that point because I don't have any of those yet. And went through the process. I went to go check out, and then I went and I was like, oh, I don't have an account. I have to make an account. Made an account. But lo and behold, I didn't read in the very beginning in the queue part. It's like you have 5 minutes on our shop max.
Ooh.
So from the second your time, you know, your time is up, you get in to the store to the end, it's exactly a total of 5 minutes from even the time you hit buy. So I went through everything, put in my info, hit buy, and it just puts me right back in queue. And I was like, oh man. So I know better now. I got my Zotac account set up and I'm good to go. Yes, so that's the closest thing I've come to a queue. I've never gone in person. I don't know that I ever will. It's very cool to hear like that you actually went there. But man, you thought that they would learn something at least from like Best Buy, coming out ahead of time with pieces of paper and like a ticketing system and all.
Yeah, you'd think so, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way I think it was, because this store is like a chain. They have locations all over
Yeah.
my country, and the way, like what I think is, it was someone at the head office that
Yeah.
arranged this drop, right?
Oh no.
And they've never even been to this shop. They didn't know it was in a shopping mall. They
Yeah.
were just like, oh, we'll drop them at these 3 locations,
Oh,
and that will be that. You know, they didn't even think it through.
jeez, that's painful. Yeah, I actually just got an
But so
alert.
what have you been? Oh,
I just got an alert from Newegg Shuffle, speak of the devil, that they're going to have a
oh
shuffle
wow.
starting soon. See, that's what I love. I love that. Granted, I think it's
So
only
what have you been up
for
to,
the
like,
US.
yeah, what have you been up to mining wise, like past few days?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. So last week was a really busy week for me from the mining perspective. I finally pulled 6 of my 470s out of my half-ass grow tent that I have. You know, I couldn't even have them running because of the temperatures. due to my exhaust issues. And I built a rig last week with them and focused on Flux actually, which was really funny because I definitely I built them early on in the week. I think it was like a Tuesday drop or a Wednesday drop. I dropped the video for doing Flux on those cards, and then over the weekend Flux took off. I mean, it like 4x, which was awesome. And I had like 1.6 GPU rig on that. I had this 1080 actually sitting on my desk here. This is one I just got back from repair. That was on Flux, and I have a 2060 on Flux and a 1070 Ti on Flux. So I was really happy to see that. I was very surprised how well Flux all of a sudden, like, now I'm kind of going in per day and looking and seeing, and like Flux is this weird contender that jumps in every once in a while and is like top of what's a mine for a few cards. It's not touching Ethereum if we're talking, ETH cards, but anything else was very surprising. But for me, I haven't actually had a chance. I was telling Seb before like the show, I had a wedding on Saturday. I was tied up yesterday with a family party. So like tonight I gotta like buckle down and get some content ready, because I mean I'm a 5 days a week content creator. So this is today's video. Sorry to disappoint some people. And then I have Tuesday through Friday. But I have my roster list up of like what videos I want to do when. So I just need to record them. So I'll probably record 2 tonight for Tuesday, Wednesday, and take off from there. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to, or lack thereof, when it comes down to the mining side of things. So I think what would be good is, if we want to, is let's just start taking questions. We might as well, kick it off early. I think what we'll do is start off with what you received from social first off, and then we're going to jump over to live chat, and we'll ask you guys for questions, and we'll just kind of sort through ones that we feel are valuable for the group. So what was one of the questions that you got, Seb?
Well, just before then, I just saw here Dave Moore asked in live chat where to mine Flux.
Oh,
so I think you've got a great response to that, don't you?
Absolutely. So I actually partnered with the team, the developers actually, with Flux, and their website is runonflux.io. You can go over there, and then you can also, if you need a wallet, they actually part of their project is a wallet called Zelcore Wallet. And Zelcore Wallet has a boatload of other algorithms and currencies on there. So like, it's not just a Flux wallet. Like, there are 100 or more different currencies over there, which is awesome. It's very similar, like Exodus, if you're familiar with them, is how that's built. But Flux is on there, and it's just like any other currency. Then you get your wallet, you put it into Windows or into Hive, and off you go. The only thing to keep in mind is like Flux is actually on Sols versus Megahash. So it's definitely different. So don't let that throw you off at first, based off of how that works. And it mines very similar to like this Ravencoin Ergo hybrid. So when you're looking at your overclock settings, kind of look at like, and what I mean by that is, because those are on different spectrums, is some of your memory settings and core clocks are similar to Ergo, but it's very power intensive. So it's kind of, a little odd there. And I'm still messing I'm still messing with my settings there to try to nail those down. But yes, hopefully that answers your question on Flux. And I have a video from last week doing a full build, which was fun. I did my first point of view build with a GoPro, and that was interesting and different and new to me, to have both hands available to actually like talk and hold things and stuff. But that was fun. I did enjoy that. I definitely plan to do more of those in the future.
Yeah, that was cool.
So what was the question that you had off of social?
Yes, so this is kind of a 2-part question, and it's from that one guy Oz on Twitter, and he says, as crypto content creators, what are your personal goals for growth and where you want to be in the future? And then he's also curious about like what our why is. As in like, why do we do what we do? What's our like driving force behind it, so to speak? At least that's how I interpret that.
Why don't you kick us off?
Okay, so personal goals for growth and where we want. Well, it's difficult because questions like that, it's so easy to just say, oh, I want 100,000 subscribers, because that's such a tangible goal or whatever, you know, like it's just a number. And I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say that that is something that I do want, because
Yeah.
like I've basically grown up watching YouTube, and 100,000 subscribers is a massive milestone, and I want that play button, you know?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but I think more than that, like if we're talking real life goals, like I would love to just be able to properly do this for a living.
That'd be awesome.
And because I think this is so much fun, and I think sort of how to reach that goal, I should probably set goals more oriented around output rather than performance.
Okay.
So like you have done with your 5 videos a day, 5 videos a week every week, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like I should really be setting something like that for myself. The problem with doing something like that for me is some of my videos take like 2 weeks to make.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that's interesting. So like you and I, our content is similar, but also very different. You know, a lot of mine is, you know, talking and walking around and showing and blah blah blah, and yours is more, I would say, nitty gritty on the numbers, which is phenomenal. I mean, that's what we need. We need people out there to be kind of crunching. Hey, here's these 30 series LHR cards. Here's how they do on these different algorithms. Like everybody's searching for those, so I think there's definitely value there. There is. Yeah, I think it's smart of you to say, okay, how do I get from point A to point B, and what do I need to achieve along the way? Kind of set your milestone markers, because I think that makes it more exciting for you, and also allows you to kind of have those check boxes to say, okay, I did that, now moving on. Did that, versus just okay, I hit 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. It's like, okay, but let's put some more structure to it.
Exactly, because you know, I can't be in control of how many people subscribe to my channel.
Yep.
You know, I'm at 20,867 now.
Yep.
And that might be as high as it ever goes. And there's nothing I could do about it. But what I can control is, you know, how many videos I'm putting out, how good those are, what I'm learning, what I can teach in my videos. And so I think those are better, like, personal goals to set in terms of growth. So how about you? What are your goals in terms of growth? Both, I guess, both as a miner and as a content creator.
Yeah, definitely. So as a miner, my goal has always been 100 GPUs. I'd love to get to that point. I'm at 40 right now, actually 41, but only 40 mining currently. And one is currently not, it's just overheating. So I probably just have to take it apart, clean it, you know, new thermal paste and stuff. But you know, as a miner, I feel like that's obtainable, and that's through, you know, my mining room, grow tent, and then at some point here, purchase a shed out back, and move things to there. In regards to, for me as a content creator, you know, my goal has always been to financially make enough money to pay for my monthly mining projects. So, you know, when I was doing when I was doing the gaming content, it was always like, okay, am I making enough from there to really warrant the time I'm putting into it? You know, in gaming, it's not like a quick thing. You know, you're gaming for a few hours, or you're streaming, or you're creating a video. So it's not like it is here. So I think with mining, the nice thing is like my goal is always like, and I was really happy to get to a point where even where I am now, where it's like, wow, like this is paying for itself, which is a really great situation to be in. Meaning, the cards I'm buying aren't coming out of my pocket, and the projects I do aren't coming out of my pocket. They're coming out of the revenue from the YouTube channel, not even from actual mining itself. We're just talking more content creation. So for me, it, you know, once I got to that point where I could start to go, okay, YouTube pays me the 21st of every month, give or take, based off of where it falls. What am I budgeting for that? Like, how much am I putting towards this project and this project and this project? And that's made it really, you know, really nice. It also makes it easier to justify to the wife when it's like, hey, here's some extra, you know, here on the 21st, we're going to buy this for ourselves, because it's kind of like a a prize for the success of the channel over the last 30 days. So as a content creator, that's where it's been for me, which is so interesting because you and I come from, even there, two different examples. Like mine is more hobbyist side and like, hey, here's something extra, and yours is more lucrative income, especially in your situation, which is awesome. It makes me want to be like, here, Seb, here's some more, take some more subscribers, But yeah, so let's jump over to the why, because I think that's a great question. Why do you mine? I guess you get two part. Why do you mine, and why content creation?
Do you want to get us started on that one?
Sure. So I think for me, why do I mine? I've always been interested in cryptocurrency. I mean, I started playing around with mining on a terrible platform about 5 years ago. I forget the name of it. I'm not remembering it, but it was really bad. But I did it for like a year and was like, all right, this isn't what I expected, and was done with it. So I've always had an interest there, but actually doing it right, that was kind of my big thing. So for me, I'm in the technology space in my career, and so this is very much up that avenue. PC parts and stuff like that, and the technology side of things. So that makes it easy. I have found that I've always had a addiction to a hobby, if that makes sense. Like I can't just be like, oh, I'm just gonna be a content creator and then put out a video once in a blue moon. It's like, no, I need to do more. I need to get more. I need to earn more. And it's like, this is the same way with gaming. It was like, I want to be the best. I want to be better. I want to create content. It's crazy kind of being addicted to your hobby. But I will go back to what you had said at one point, which was like, this is a lot of fun. And so when it's not fun, that's when it becomes questionable. But right now, for me, I think the why is this is fun. I mean, growing a YouTube channel and then also growing we'll call it a mining farm, a hobbyist mining farm. It's a lot of fun. So until it's not fun anymore, then it's something to definitely bring into question. Oh yeah, there it is in chat. The website was MinerGate. Thank you. So what about you, Seb? What's the why?
Well, I mean, mining and being a sort of YouTube content creator about mining, it's almost scary how many of like my boxes that checks, or whatever you would say, because like I've always been interested in just like digital media creation in general.
Okay.
And I've also always been interested in just like technology and computers and cell phones and just like cool tech, right? As well as I've also always been a very much like hands-on guy. Like I love to like make things with my hands and build and that's also a big part of like building mining rigs and stuff like that. So as well as I'm kind of also interested in personal finance, which mining kind of is a little bit part of, like cryptocurrency and so as to for my why of like just why I'm doing it is probably just because it'd be really strange if I didn't like just seeing how many of my boxes it checks, so to speak. But also as to like my underlying why from a more philosophical, I guess, frame of mind is I like, well, first of all, I believe in cryptocurrency, and I think it's a great system for like a great financial system. I don't know if I think it should be the only financial system we have, but I think just cryptocurrency as a phenomenon is extremely interesting, and I think it's important. And as for the why to like why I want to be a content creator is because I want to empower my viewers with like knowledge, and I believe that YouTube as a platform is extremely important, because whenever throughout history has anyone been able to just record themselves and put that out there, and it be available to basically anyone in the world. You know, if you just go back like 20 years, if you wanted to make video that should be seen by a lot of people, you would have to go through production companies and TV stations, and there would have to be so many other people that can tell you no along the way. And I think it's extremely empowering for us, the population, when we have that power of sort of free speech in such an available form, I guess. So that's why to YouTube videos.
Yeah, YouTube is interesting. It's become this like medium platform that is everywhere and anywhere, which breaks barriers on language barriers and geolocation and everything. And more finding, just from my perspective, like when I stopped streaming on Twitch, playing video games, I found myself like never going back there to watch them, and now it's just everything on YouTube. Like I watch everything on YouTube now. I mean, my watch list is way too big of things I need to watch, and it just continues to grow. And I mean, my family and we haven't had cable in 10 years. Television cable.
Yeah.
We've just streamed everything, and using things like Netflix and YouTube Kids and things like that. Yeah, it's crazy how much we've come to use YouTube and how far that'll go. I mean, YouTube, I've seen some statistics. YouTube is the most content consuming platform in the world, far above television, above any other platform.
Wow.
So it puts it all to shame. So it's crazy, and it's fun to be a part of that platform, where there's that kind of discoverability. So great question. Appreciate you guys asking that. Seb, why don't you pick one from the chat? Or do we have any more from social before we jump to chat?
Do you?
I do not.
I have one more.
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. I think the question was just like, because I didn't save this one, unfortunately, but I remember it. It was along the lines of sort of what are if we feel like it's possible to do mining as a full-time income, basically.
Okay.
And what are, I guess, opinions surrounding that would be.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something we're aiming towards, or if we just view it more as a hobby.
Yeah.
So I'll let you start us off.
Sure. So I'm going to group mining and content creation together in that question. I don't see this as full-time for me. I do very well in my career financially. I think between that and like healthcare and stuff for my family, I have several kids, married, home, mortgage, things like that. And so it would be, I'd have to be much larger than I am now to come close to that monthly income, let alone covering that healthcare side of things, which is important to me. I think if I was, a single guy, just graduating from college or university, didn't have any financial debt, it would be different. My parents, was living with my parents and creating it would definitely be different. So that would definitely be a different side of things. This is a great hobby, and I will say side job, like absolutely 100%. Like this is a part-time job. Content creation, social media, thumbnails, editing, you and I both do the works. We do everything. We don't have anyone editing anything or creating our thumbnails for us or anything like that. So that being said, as we grow, and let's say we jump ahead a year from now, I still don't see that changing. So let's say a year from, 20,000 now, let's say I'm at 40,000 a year from now or something. I don't see that changing. Like it'll be business as usual for me, in my current state, just because of the lifestyle I have selected with my family and everything like that. But do I think it's feasible? I do. I think it would be hard. Like I tell people too, mining would be, I can only imagine what some of these people go through, our audience, our viewers, if they're just mining and not creating content because of just playing that roller coaster. I mean, there's plenty of people that I talk to that are mining one day and cashing out 5 days later to help pay for things. And it's like, holy cow, like I can't imagine that. Like that would drive me nuts. Like my nerves of just like how I don't even like and I've told many people, like I don't even worry about it. Like I mine and I hodl. So I never end up cashing anything out. I'm not concerned about the price in that moment. Versus I know a lot of you guys are like cashing out monthly or a portion of it. You know, like I know like you, and I've talked to Red Fox Crypto, like they cash out X% every so often, and they reinvest it into the GPU side of things. And man, the nerves, that would drive me nuts. But what about you? Talking about it from a full-time job. I know you come from a different perspective.
Yeah. First of all, we got a super chat from Rondi,
Oh
$20, and he said,
man,
"Much love to you both. 3 arms flexing. Keep up the good work." Thank you so much, Rondi.
yes,
Really appreciate you.
yes, thank you much. So on
Um,
your side of things, yeah. So could mining, and we'll put content creation and mining for you, ever be a full-time job for you, or is it
well,
already?
I guess it is because it is my only income currently,
Yeah.
and because of my living situation, no kids, building our own house,
Yep.
it's actually keeping us afloat together with, my wife works as well.
That's awesome.
So it we've kind of optimized our lives a little bit in trying to live cheaply,
Within
or
your
rather being
means.
frugal
Within your means,
within our
right?
means.
Yep.
Like we don't need much, so we don't want much, kind of thing.
Yep.
For just for where we're at in our lives right now, so it's enough. And I would also like to try and answer this question maybe from someone else's perspective,
Perfect.
of someone not being a content creator, YouTuber, but just answer like, do we see crypto mining as a sort of feasible way to make a living? And I think that is a very tough thing, because cryptocurrency is such an extremely volatile field, right?
Yeah.
Just in general, it it is. I mean, not exactly, but a lot of it is kind of just worth money because we kind of say it is, in a way. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
there are underlying technologies that you could, argue are worth money. For example, with Ethereum and smart contracts, and of course just blockchain technology in general. But it has the possibility of just diving down to zero tomorrow,
Oh yeah,
and
100%.
and we need to be aware of that, I guess. So as for pursuing mining, just solely mining
Yeah.
as a full-time job and career, I mean, you absolutely could. Especially right now, profits are extremely high.
Yeah.
And to be fair, right now you can still find GPUs that would like ROI in, I think, about 200 days.
Yep.
Which, if you think of any other kind of business, to ROI in 200 days is amazing. Like,
Yeah, your
imagine
investments. Yep.
something. Yeah, but yeah, like imagine another easy to understand business, like starting a restaurant. You'd need $1 million loan to like get the property, get the staff,
Yeah.
develop a menu, buy furniture, buy groceries, everything, and like that's not gonna ROI in 200 days, I can tell you that.
Yeah,
So
I think in that perspective regarding you have a great one there. I mean, as a miner, like let's take out the content creation side of it and just say from the mining perspective, um, the hard part is now is like you're taking a leap of faith investing into
yeah.
cryptocurrency. Like if all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm quitting my job and I'm going into mining, and it's like, okay, so what's your upfront investment? You coming in and
Mm,
saying, hey, I have $1,000 saved up in my mom's piggy bank, and that's what I'm gonna do for a living. It's like that's not gonna work for you. Like that type of money in upfront investment, and then making it back. There is no get rich quick type of situation here. You're investing
mm,
heavily in the upfront, and establishing yourself. And you got to think about it. Like if someone came to you and was like, hey, here's several $1,000s, start your own, mining farm as your full-time situation, you'd be looking at like, okay, even a small facility, location. So now you're paying rent and electricity and, are you paying for staff? Or are you the only one? And then not even that, all of that is just your expenses. Now let's talk about like your expenses on buying GPUs, and do you buy several-year-old GPUs because you can get up in mining, but or do you, I'm going after the 3090s, or what 3080s. So I think that's the challenge is, man, it always makes me nervous hearing people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to go mining full time. And I'm like, do you understand what you're getting into when you get into that? And the hard part is like, you're not just earning $1 and then 2 days later it's still worth $1. It could be worth 10 cents 2 days later, or it could be worth $3. And it's like that would be very nerve-wracking to me to have put all of my eggs in one basket when it comes to just mining.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with mining, you're still kind of hedging yourself a little bit in that you're actually buying GPUs, which do have which holds some sort of physical value still, right? Like they are graphics cards, other people want them for other applications as well. So you're still not as exposed as, let's say, a trader, right? But that said, I still don't know if it's something I would recommend someone get into, really trying to pursuing it and risking everything you have. I mean, it's what we always say, right? Like, never invest money into this that you cannot afford to lose.
Yes, and one thing you mentioned there too, like you could buy these GPUs and then the GPUs break, like they have issues, like mechanically. I mean, I'm at 41 GPUs currently right now. I have sent 5 total away to get repaired. 2 of them were not repairable. Like there were too many pieces that were needed that just weren't available to get them back up and running. So right there's a loss. 2 of them are already gone, depending on what I paid for those. 3 of those I got back, still had to pay, costs to have them repaired. You have the cost of not having them up and mining and making you money. So like, it's, it'd be scary to just do mining on its own. Like, my goodness.
Yeah. So I guess in summary, like, is it possible? Yeah, it is possible. And if you have if you have a lot of faith in crypto, then like ROI is pretty good compared to other business ventures. But just, bring it back to the restaurant example, people will always need to eat. But cryptocurrency could go away tomorrow. So that's the risk you would be taking.
Yeah, I think it's scary when you hear things like, it gets banned in certain countries and things like that. Like, it kind of makes you a little nervous in that regard. Like when China, when everything occurred in China, and then, the US, he told no, like, is 1 minute things going to get banned, in the US, or because, the US bans anything they don't understand, versus trying to understand it and then going ahead and putting, parameters around it. So yeah, that's another factor. Let's say you start a mining business and you put everything under the world into it for a few years, then all of a sudden it's like, that's banned in your country. Like, what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's
move
great.
To Estonia, I guess.
I know, right? I'm going to Canada. Let's take some more questions from chat. I'll let you pick the next one here. So now's a great time in chat. Fire away your questions. Try to make them one-liners. 1 question each would be awesome, versus like a paragraph of questions would be really good.
Good timing. We just got a super chat from I guess IN. Is that Indiana, maybe?
In Gun Addict? In Gun Addict, I think, is it?
I was thinking the IN could be Indiana.
Got it. Could be.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, why don't you read this one?
Oh, it just says, has your acceptable ROI changed when buying GPUs? As we've gotten closer to ETH 2.0, should it change for someone only buying 2 to 4 GPUs per month? So that's a great thing to look at. So for you, since you started and now, and I do it. I look to see like how long is my, ROI, your break even, your hardware break even. What is it? Now that's always changing. But for you, what is within an acceptable window? Would you get a GPU now that took 2 years, or is it really under that 185 days?
Yeah, I mean, this is the $100 question right now. I feel like, because
Yeah.
we we have the upcoming event of ETH 2.0, which very well could flip mining all on its head, and nobody can know what
Yep.
will happen after then. So let me phrase it this way: if I could go out and get a GPU that I know would ROI before maybe February like next year, that's a safe buy. Like, I'm buying that right away. Which I believe that 3060 Ti was actually. I believe I did the math on that, and it came out to 100 and something days, which is amazing. You get sort of into the gray zone of what you're willing to spend when it starts being above 200 to like 300 days, and then I would say anything above 300 days would be a no-go for me right now. Like, anything over a year, that's too big of a commitment, like financially. And it is also a bit different for me. Like, if I know I can get some very good content for you guys to watch out of a GPU, then I'm more willing to buy it. Like the two matching 3070s that I got.
Oh yeah.
Like, I probably wouldn't have spent that much on a LHR 3070, but I wanted to get the exact same one, just LHR. So I went out and bought it, and I believe you guys enjoy that, because that video has over 100,000 views now.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I think that was a good idea.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, some anonymous miner in chat had made a good point, like ROI versus break even. I think a lot of, for me, I'm always looking at break even, like on what to mine. You could go ahead and put in, and you look at your break even. So then you kind of know, like, okay, this is when I'm going to start to make money off of it. I think it's a little bit different as a content creator as well, not just a miner, because for you and it is, okay, great, I'm going to buy it. And let's say it says 185 days or whatever. But then it's like, okay, I'm going to put out a video. And what's that? It's hard to predict what that video is going to do for you financially in order to help with that. And that's a little bit different from a content creator miner perspective versus just a miner perspective, which you're looking right away. Like, okay, what's my break even? And then what is my, when do I start making a few bucks off of it? Which is I think really, really good. Another question in chat, and I'm just kind of catching up on ones where I can. I know there's a lot. But I thought it was good, especially talking about ETH 2.0, is do you think LHR will be 100% cracked? So that one's interesting. I saw
that one too, yeah.
So that stood out to me because you have... Oh, go ahead. Go first. Go ahead.
All right, thanks. I think we will get to a point where LHR does not matter very much anymore.
Agreed.
Like, that's what I'll say. I think, will it be 100% cracked? Maybe not, but we're already seeing around 70%. Maybe that can climb to another 10, up to 80, 85 maybe.
Yeah.
As well as, the time we have to mine ETH isn't, it's over soon, right? It's on the horizon. And then I believe we'll see a scattering of hash power to all of these like 20 or 30 sort of similar in profitability coins.
The year of the altcoin.
Yep. Exactly. It'll be altcoin season all over again. And
can't wait.
What I reckon then is just there'll be so many coins that are similar in profitability. You just pick the ones that aren't affected by your LHR cards.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, I think LHR is interesting. So I think it's not necessarily the question of will it be cracked in my mind. It is the question of when will it not matter. And that's where my head goes, where it's like, okay, so ETH eventually you will not be able to mine ETH. It'll be point of stake. So in that regard, it's like, okay, where do you pivot from then? And LHR is now granted, I understand like Ergo is a great example. Like it operates very similarly. So there is some LHR. You have some great videos on that. But then we start to pivot away from ETH entirely. I mean, think of it today. Let's say all of a sudden tomorrow you can't mine ETH. It's like, okay, great. So I'm pivoting to the next big thing. And I think the difference is I think we're going to see all these altcoins. That's why I call it the year of altcoins, just start to boost up in their value. And that's where we're all going to move to, which is, I think, awesome. So I don't necessarily, I think you as a miner, especially as smaller miners out there like myself and like you know, look at it and not necessarily say, oh man, when is ETH 2.0 going to hit? And, you know, then I can't mine anymore. It's going to be no, then you're just pivoting. So when I know, when, you know, all I'm going to do is pivot, like all going into HIVEOS and for you Windows and just changing things over to what I'm mining. And then it's business as usual. Like off we go. But it looks like I've got some more super chats. One from Tom in chat. Thank you very much. Seb from
he wants to know about my he wants to know about my personal information. Sorry. So I get this very much.
Yep.
And I'd like to prefer not to answer that question if that is all right. Thank you very much for the
allowed. I'll allow it.
Norwegian crown. Yeah.
And then also one from Jesse.
Yes, Raven for the win, absolutely.
Yes, Jesse definitely. Jesse in there too. Thank you very much for the $5 Canadian. Yeah, it's so funny talking about Ravencoin a little bit because, like, Ravencoin is like that bittersweet algorithm as a miner. Like, you want to mine more of it. It has the longevity. It's got the projects behind it, but the heat behind it. Like, I just swapped over a number of my rigs in my mining room next to me. I did have a number on Ravencoin, and it's just getting like it's too hot in that room. Now, for too hot to me is like 90 to 95. Right now I'm 89 in there. But at the same time, the cards are also getting crazy hot too. So I swapped all my Ravencoin over to my grow tent just to get by. But it's also one of those, like, it's more, you know, expense, electricity costs in there and everything. So like, man, Ravencoin is so bittersweet. You want to love it, but you hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And it's also addicting in how big the payouts are. You know, with ETH you get like 0.1 ETH every week if you got a big farm, right? But with Ravencoin, it's like hundreds of coins every day. Feels like you're getting rich.
Oh, I know. At one point I had like my 3060 Ti, because Ravencoin was perfect for that, and my 3060 both on Ravencoin. And I think together, you know, and maybe a few other rigs there, it was like every other day or almost every day I was getting 100 Ravencoin. It was like nice, just, you know, it's that satisfaction of ching, you know, ching, you know.
Yeah,
I'm seeing that, and now you know, but it definitely, the heat factor is a big one, for sure, and that's probably for most people. I would say most of our miners are in that situation where they would like to mine Ravencoin, but and the same thing DSA Mining in chat says Flux too. Flux is the same way. Flux is power hungry, and so it's like, man. So yeah.
That's something I wanted to bring up too about the future and mining is if you're getting into mining now and you want to pursue it for the long term to try and make it your income, is I would absolutely target energy efficient GPUs if you could.
Yes.
Because we might get to a point where that actually matters for your profits. You know, when profits go from being, you know, hundreds of dollars a day to pennies a day, it will make a big difference for who can keep the rigs running and who has to shut them off. Depending on what your electricity price is and how energy efficient your GPUs are.
Yeah, we weren't really involved in mining, you know, during some of those lulls, we'll call them. But I like to listen to like Red Panda, you know, when he does some of these more in-depth analytical conversations, and he talks about that, where like there have been times over the years where you either sell off your cards or you just shut them down and you leave them because it costs more to mine than what you're making. And you know, everybody keeps saying, like, people like Bits be tripping, and a lot of these individuals that have been in the industry for a while, it's like, man, we are on our longest run ever, and like we're overdue for one of those, and it's like for those winters, we'll call them. But another donation there from Raymond. What if LHR expands to limit all algorithms? What are your thoughts on that one?
I think they'll have a very hard time doing that, because at some point they're gonna start hurting the
Yep.
performance just generally for these cards, because in the end what a GPU is, it's a small computer in a card basically, and it's
Yeah.
designed to calculate, like do calculations. And at some point, if you start like limiting any sort of calculation it can do, it's also going to start hurting it for gaming and for um like machine learning
Yeah.
software and all the other applications that people use graphics cards for. And not only that, but yeah, we have this computer chip shortage right now,
Yep.
and Nvidia is kind of taking advantage of that to put one of these limiters in to look good in the eyes of gamers.
Ugh, I
But
hate it. I hate it.
this like yeah, like this chip shortage isn't gonna last forever, and there will be a point where Nvidia has a higher supply than there is a demand for their product, and then they as a company would just be stupid to like disregard a potential market of buyers, which would be miners, right? So like but what if they do decide to limit all algos and they can do that in some magical way? Well, I guess then we'll just have to buy 1660 series cards
Yeah.
or AMD cards or 20 series cards,
Yeah, I think Nvidia needs to be careful because there is a fine line, like as much as they want to appear to the gaming audience because like their market is like for gamers type of deal. Um, miners is a very big part of their demographic for their buyers. Who knows what it is? Gamers want to say, oh, they're buying 99% of the cards out there. We know that's not true. Like maybe miners are 50% with gamers. Who knows? But the challenge
I
is
actually think I've heard this. I
okay
think Nvidia stated 20% in 2020
for miners.
for miners. Yes,
Correct.
20% of GPUs were sold to miners.
So
Yeah.
if all of a sudden Nvidia loses that sale, that is a huge amount of profitability for them. So as Nvidia continues to, let's say, poke the bear, the miner bear, companies like AMD, or as we're hearing, Intel coming out with their own mining series, they could capitalize on that. Like AMD, it's the perfect opportunity for them to look at mining and say, what are miners looking for? High hash rate at low cost. What can we provide them that Nvidia tried to do and it was an insult to the mining community? What can AMD do? What can they provide? Can they keep their cards prices down while Nvidia continues to increase prices? I shouldn't say increase prices because they claim their MSRP prices are X when everyone knows they're not. Like, and it just makes everything look like scalping. But then they add the LHR right on top of it versus AMD's over here like, hey guys, here's our cards. No LHR.
Yeah.
I mean, I guarantee you someone in a meeting's like, should we put LHR on our cards? And someone slaps their wrist. Like, don't even talk about that.
Yeah.
There's no need for that business right here. Like that is, we do not, so, yeah, I am, competition is good. So as Intel and AMD continue on the path they're going, it will force Nvidia to pivot eventually, for market share. So, I am, it's funny. I started out AMD, I have 12, 470s right now. And a lot of me is and then I also have 8 RX 580s, and a lot of me is kind of shifting back towards that just because of the current market right now for Nvidia. It is very expensive, and they get eaten up quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we've seen with the latest, is it 6600 XT, right?
Yeah.
The latest AMD card is, it's an extremely good buy for miners.
Amazing.
Like, I'm used like solid 32 mega hash at what, like 60 watts or something insane like that. Like if you're talking a good card for the long term, that would probably be it, right? With that efficiency.
It is the next evolutionary step for the 1660. Like when I see that card, I'm like, oh, it's the big brother of the 16. Like it's the, or should I say the younger brother, the new age version. If you were to right now, if you could get your hands on them the same way you could the 1660, you just go that route. Newer technology, which is important. Age of the card is significantly less. So, and it looks just like it. Great hash rate,
Yeah.
low power. I mean, it's right up our avenue as a miner. So I think we'll take one more. I think we'll take one more question and then wrap things up. We planned for a 1 hour stream today. We'll stick to it. So Seb, why don't you?
Yeah, we got to quit before I pass you in subscribers.
Yeah, it's coming.
That on camera.
It's coming. It's coming. I always give him a hard time, guys. I'm always like, you're gonna pass me in no time, and it'll be. I told him this week that man's passing me, which is awesome. It's good for him.
So do we have any more questions? If you want us to see your question, if you could just at us in the chat, then it's easier for us to see it.
Yeah, do that. That would be perfect. Do an at Seb or at myself, and we'll pick one more, guys, to round out today's stream. And then for anybody who caught this late, the VOD will be available. I'll have it available today so that you guys can catch it, watch the whole thing, and we'll kind of go from there, which is nice. There's nothing really to see other than your handsome face, so you could definitely watch it on the go, or listen to it on the go if needed.
Yeah, perfect, like podcast kind of style, right?
Yes, exactly. We'll give it a minute here.
Yeah.
I forgot to look and see if I put it on low latency now that I think about it. I'm like, did I put it on low? You know how like if you go live, you can set your latency, like how behind it is. And I wonder if I have it on normal latency versus like low. I didn't think about that. Too late now.
All right, we got a few questions here now. So
okay.
let's try and burn a few of them really
Perfect.
quickly. So ITX Addict, he says at Seb's FinTech channel, how are you enjoying fame and fortune? I'm not famous and I'm absolutely not rich.
Done.
So I wouldn't know. And then we have Joe Snaith, I think, and he asks me why you don't show your face.
Well, I'll make that real quick.
I actually know.
Okay,
I
go
actually
for it.
know.
Why?
Because we spoke about this in my Meet the Miner episode, and it is because you want your content to be focused on the content rather than the person.
Correct.
And I think that was a really good and profound way of putting it. And I know that it's a purposeful move by you from doing your research before you started, and I think it's really cool.
Thank you. What else we got? Hammer away.
We got Jesse Crop, who's asking, how do you raise capital as a new miner? I mean, get a paper route and buy your first GPU. And then once you've made money from that first GPU mining, you buy a second GPU, and then they make money twice as fast. And then you are able to buy the third GPU, and then you make money 3 times as fast. And along that way it goes, right?
Yeah, I mean, the hard part from raising capital right now is cryptocurrency is such a loosey-goosey type of item, where people are either find people that are extremely interested in it, or people that don't want to touch it. So I think for you, if you're interested in raising capital from my business side of things, I would recommend that you need to spend some time putting together a good deck to market to individuals, to show this is where it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and this is where it is now, to show that it is lucrative and that you can make money from it. But you definitely got to find the right people. The hard part is it would be very hard for you to try to start a crypto mining business right now and build your own farm right now, because the upfront cost is just phenomenal. I mean, we're not talking pennies and peanuts here. Thousands and thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to build a facility outright. So I think what I would recommend is if you're interested in that, I would actually go check out Not Your Normal Miner. He actually is a crypto miner at a crypto farm. He doesn't own it, but he works there. And I think his channel is a great one to go check out, kind of what that looks like day to day. And maybe that's your next step, finding a job in a crypto mining farm to really learn the ins and outs.
Yeah. Cool. Let's I'm gonna do speed round, just a couple of more questions here. We have someone asking like after ETH proof, well, he says proof of work, but I think he means proof of stake. Or I guess after ETH proof of work. Yeah, that is correct. Which coin would I mine on 1660 supers? And The answer is I'm not gonna decide that now. I'm gonna see which coin is most profitable then, and make that decision there and then.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Right now, it's looking like it might be Raven or Ergo or Ethereum Classic, as he says, but who knows? Maybe Flux just completely takes off, and
Yeah.
then of course I'd be stupid to move to Raven coin just because I decided that now, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
So, as with crypto and mining in general, you kind of have to sort of what's the expression, like move with the flow
Be
or
fluid.
whatever, go with
You
the
have to
flow,
be
right?
fluid. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'll do. And
Yeah.
then
I was gonna say
someone
there.
wanted to,
I was gonna say
sorry, go
real
ahead.
quick, just the price of Ravencoin now is not what it'll be when ETH 2.0 hits. Same thing with Ergo. Same
No.
thing with Flux. Like we're gonna see a huge shift in value, difficulty in mining too. That's a huge one to keep in mind, guys. Is like, you know, Ravencoin doesn't just go through the roof. Like $11, awesome, but the difficulty is going to be significantly harder because all of those miners are going to shift off of ETH. So that is definitely going to be the hard part, where it's like, you know, it's the difficulty and the value that'll be big factors.
And so much is happening. Like Ravencoin also has a halving right then, I think in January next year, right?
Yes, correct.
So
Yep.
then you'll make half the amount of Raven. But then we're on the other side of that, it's like, oh, well, we don't know if maybe that halving really pumps the price of Ravencoin up as well.
Yeah.
So you really cannot tell the future in crypto, and I never try. I'm much more comfortable just going with the flow and making adjustments along the way as needed.
Yep. Absolutely. Why don't we do one more? We'll do one more, then wrap things up.
Okay, this is good.
Okay.
How to stop yourself from buying more cards from the DJ Senti. That is the question. How do you stop yourself? I think especially for me, as I cash out as I go, specifically to grow my farm, it is very difficult to not hop onto less than optimal deals for graphics cards when you kind of just have the money sitting there waiting to purchase GPUs with.
Yes.
And like restraining myself from overpaying just because I have the money and I want to grow my farm. It's tough. And I think the best way is to just focus on what you're actually wanting to achieve and really having an understanding of how much money you have and how much money you have to lose, basically.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice, to be extremely conscientious of your situation.
Yeah, I wouldn't go seeking out, like looking for cards. That's the first one. If you want to control that a little bit better, like get off of Facebook Marketplace, you know, don't be looking at Q sites to buy them. And then the second thing would be set a structure in place, like Seb had said. I know like Red Fox Crypto does. Every month, you know, or week, I'll cash out X that I've earned, and then this is what I have to spend. So then you're setting guardrails in place for yourself. You know, for me, since I'm a hodler, I only take funds from that I make off of YouTube and reinvest that into GPUs. So that forces me to wait every month till like the 21st, and then go ahead and put those funds aside and use those funds for buying new cards. So I'm not even touching. So I'm the opposite. I'm not even touching when I'm hodling, but I am touching when I'm creating on YouTube or making on YouTube, and then using that. That just kind of helps to put some guide rails in place so that you don't get out of control, you know. And as we said, you know, that's with any addiction in that regard. You know, you don't want to overspend. Don't over leverage yourself and then get yourself in a predicament that you regret later.
100%.
Awesome. Well, I would say, guys, if you guys have more questions for us, there's a few places that you can do. You can leave them on our channel, either on the community tab. You know, there is a post from both of us here about this. You could post on those asking questions. You could post on our videos your questions. Both of us are on Twitter. You could go ahead and tweet at us on Twitter with those questions. And then finally, Seb hangs out. He has a channel in the Misfits Mining YouTube that you could go there and chat with Seb, or you could go check me out on
Discord, you mean?
Discord. I'm sorry. What did I say?
Yeah.
YouTube. I'm sorry. In Discord. Yes. Seb has a Discord.
Yeah.
He's part of the Misfits Mining Discord. He has a sub channel in there that you guys could go ahead and post in, or come over to my Discord, and I am always available there answering questions and things like that. So don't feel that if your question did get answered today in the live stream that we're cutting you off. We would love to hear from you guys and continue the conversations on social, on YouTube, or on Discord, which would be perfect. Anywhere else, Seb, you'd like people to go ahead and check you out?
No, that you covered it, and I'll probably be in the live chat for a little bit once we
Perfect.
finish the stream as well, so people
Awesome.
can chat with me for a bit.
Awesome, guys. Well, from myself and Seb, thank you guys very much for joining us, celebrating 20,000 subscribers. We'll see you guys at 40. Take care. And we're muted and good to go. Yeah, that went well. We could have went forever, but I do need to like leave. I do need to leave and go into the office for work. So I'm like, all right, let's round it up there and kind of go from there. So yeah, I'm gonna hang out here for a few minutes, but I'll disconnect the call, and we'll just kind of